Here's a story from Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Ruditchev. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Ruditchev lived in Berditchev. Berditchev is a town in Ukraine. It's cold there, and it happened to be that one year there was no etrog in Berditchev. Etrog is a large citrus fruit which is used for a commandment of taking lulav and etrog on the holiday of Sukkot. Sometimes they can be very expensive, but they don't grow in the Ukraine. So they would send a person once a year to buy an etrog from wherever, somewhere in the south. So it happened that there was wars there or trouble or bad weather, whatever. But in any case, they didn't have an etrog. So they were all praying. Well, it happened miraculously that a very rich man happened to be passing through Berditchev on his way home. It was the day before the morning, right before Sukkot, and this rich man stopped there just for a half an hour. He wanted to eat something. It was going to continue on. The rich man was in a big carriage, a big fancy carriage, and he had servants with him. And anyway, they told Rebbe Levi that this rich man was there, and it seems that he had some sort of a box that looked like an etrog box. So Rebbe Levi went to this man, and he said to him, if you give us your etrog here, then I promise you a place with me in the world to come. So the man said, are you sure? He said, yes. So he invited him. He said, you know what? You can stay here also. Stay here with your etrog, and you can be our guest. So the rich man, sent his servants with the carriage to his home, which was like, a 5-hour drive or something like that, to tell his wife it was okay. And the city where he came from, wherever it was, Vitebsk or someplace, there was plenty of etrogs. He just wanted to go to show that he had the nicest etrog of all. And he stayed with Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Ruditchev. And that night there was tremendous joy in the synagogue that they had an etrog. They didn't have an etrog. They didn't have anything, even a bad etrog. Now they had the beautiful, beautiful etrog. And everyone was saying to this rich man, thank you very much, thank you very much. And after the prayer, everybody, the night prayer, the holiday night prayers, everybody filed by and said thank you. And the man was, this rich man was very, very pleased. He said, oh, it was nothing. But then everybody left the synagogue and he was left there alone. So he figured, someone's going to come and invite him to home. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, he said he could stay by him. So he stopped someone in the street and said, can you tell me, where does Rabbi Levi Yitzchak live? He said, well, why do you want to know? He said, because, nobody has invited me to eat. I said, no one invited you. That's really an oversight. That's really terrible. But Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, his meal, he's got a very small house, a very small sukkah. I don't know if it's for you. I'm sure that he wanted the sextant of the synagogue, the shamash. He should have asked you. Here, this house is over there. So he goes over to the sexton's house, knocks on the door. Nobody answers. So somebody says, what are you knocking on? It's the sexton. Oh, he went to his son to eat. Maybe his assistant is removed. He goes to the assistant's house. The assistant says, what, you weren't invited? I don't believe you weren't invited to anybody's house. Anyway, little by little, people are finishing their meal, and this man is without a meal, a Yom Tov meal. So someone says, I'm going to go to Rabbi Levi Yitzchak's house. He goes to Rabbi Levi Yitzchak's house, and there he is in the back. He hears Rabbi Levi Yitzchak sitting and singing. He goes in the back. He's sitting in his sukkah. And the first night you make a meal in the sukkah. So the man says, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, nobody invited me. I said, what? They didn't tell you? Here's a meal. I have a meal. You're supposed to eat by me. They didn't tell you? He said, no, I didn't know. Oh, thank you very much. He goes, just 1 second. 1 second. before you come in, you have a deed that I wrote to you. He says, what do you mean? You remember when I told you could have my part in the world to come, so you wanted it in writing. So I wrote it in writing that you can have my part in the world to come. And I had my people say, of course, yes, of course I remember that. Of course, I just a couple of hours ago. Of course I remember it. I have it with me. So I said, well, I want it back. What? I said, I want the deed, the agreement. I want it back. And as soon as I do, then you can come and sit down and eat. I said, what? I don't understand. You're extorting me? You're telling me that you're not going to give me any food until I give you the deed back? So no, I wouldn't do that. Of course you can eat. You can eat. But if you don't give me the deed back, eat the meal in my house, not in the sukkah. So, but I don't understand. What is your problem? Let me eat in the sukkah. So that's the deal. That's what it is. I'll let you eat. You have a full meal, but you'll have to eat in my house. So, but once again, you agreed that I'm going to have a part in your world to come. Rabbi Levi said, that's right. It says, written here in the deed. Said, that's right. Said, you can't go back on it. Said, I'm not going to go back on it. I'm making another thing. If you want to eat in Masuka, you have to give me the deed back. So the man said, what do I care about? I'm going to go to heaven. Heaven is infinite bliss. One second. I know. If I eat in the house, it's like a sin, right? So I'm going to miss heaven. No. Doesn't make any difference. What you do from now on the rest of your life, you're going to have a place in heaven next to me. Doesn't make any difference what you do. It's assured. You have to pay. But you're going to have to eat in the house. He says, of course I will. What do I care? I'll eat in the house. So Levi Yitzchak claps his hands. The servants come. They take the food. They take it into his house. And the man takes a cup and he's to make a blessing. On the holiday, you have to make kiddush before. He starts making them Savrim Ranan, Baruch. Suddenly he thinks to himself, what's going on over here? All the Jews in the world are sitting in sukkahs, they're all eating. And I'm not sitting in a sukkah. Why? And suddenly he says, what do you mean, why? Because I want to go to heaven. What I care about, that's sitting in a little box with some flower, with some leaves on the ceiling. I'm going to go to heaven. That's what I want, is be eternal bliss. Baruch atah. Suddenly he puts down the cup, takes out the paper, the deed, gives it to Levi Yitzchak, says, take me back to that sukkah. Goes into the sukkah. Levi Yitzchak has the deed. He sits down, he makes kiddush, and he drinks the wine, and he starts to dance. And he is dancing and happy, and Rabbi Levi Yitzchak is dancing with him. And they're both dancing, and he does somersaults on the ground, and he's till he can't dance anymore. He's dead. So Rabbi Levi Yitzchak says, what's that about? What's that about? He said, listen, my whole life, I was a businessman. Everything I did was for profit. Everything I did was, what am I going to get out of it? What's in it for me? This is the first time in my life that I did something only because it's true. And I was willing to lose everything to do what God wants. So suddenly I felt what real truth is, what real happiness is, what true joy is for the first time in my life. That's what it says, Tovli Torah's Picha Me'elfei Zav V'Chesed. Doing a commandment for God is better than all of the world to come. What's going to be with me in the world to come? I don't care. I know that I did what God wanted, and I did it with all of my heart. So Rabbi Levi Yitzchak said, that was the biggest benefit you could possibly get. That's the biggest one, right? Going to heaven, you'll get your own heaven. You won't have to have my heaven. But it could be that your heaven is even greater than mine. That comes to tell us that's the mishpatim, that even the logical laws that we're doing, we have to do is because God wants. And what is God? Ooh, infinite life, infinite meaning, infinite the connection to the creator of the universe. Have a good day with Mashiach now. See you all, God willing, tomorrow at 8:15.